morning. I'm Daniel Tarica, General Manager for the City of Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs, and I'm pleased to welcome you here this morning for the unveiling of the official portrait of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. And as we gather here today to honor our previous mayor, we also want to welcome Los Angeles' 43rd mayor, the Honorable Karen Bass. A Los Angeles community activist, social worker, and healthcare worker, and another leader who is a champion for arts and culture in our great city. Welcome, Mayor Bass, on behalf of the arts and cultural community. Mayor Eric Garcetti's portrait will reside in the Mayoral Gallery here in the tower at the top of Los Angeles City Hall, along with the 41 other portraits reflecting the history of our city's leadership. A fourth-generation native Angelino and local public servant, Mayor Garcetti will always be remembered for his commitment and dedication to the residents of our city of Los Angeles. His time in office was marked by a simple but powerful vision: improving city services, growing economic opportunity, and building the city of the future. He was determined to cement and showcase LA as a world capital of ideas and innovation, delivering extraordinary reductions in greenhouse emissions, leading cities across the earth in commitment to climate justice, and making Los Angeles America's #1 solar city, attracting record numbers of visitors to Los Angeles, rebuilding the iconic 6th Street Bridge, and winning the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games here in Los Angeles. Mayor Garcetti demonstrated his leadership during a time of great peril by keeping the public informed, hopeful, and safe during the COVID-19 pandemic and that devastated our city's communities. His sensitivity and compassion for others will be one of the main traits that serve as a foundation for his legacy, as well as his commitment to justice, dignity, and equity. His portrait, created by contemporary artist Shepard Fairey, will be one of the first of its kind displayed here for the public to enjoy. The mixed media piece demonstrates the versatility and dexterity of Mr. Fairey's iconic style that has influenced so many people across the globe. Mr. Fairey is not only an artist, he's also an activist and a humanitarian who has dedicated his life and career to the raising awareness of social issues through his artwork. Mayor Garcetti, we honor and thank you for your service to our great city, and we are eternally grateful for your dedication and leadership to Los Angeles as the city's 42nd mayor. Now I would like to invite Shepard Fairey to come up and say a few words.
Well, this is an incredible honor. I've been a resident of Los Angeles now for 21 years, and it's a place that's provided opportunities for me that I never would have imagined. And a lot of it has come from the things that I know that Mayor Garcetti and I both value and celebrate: the culture, the diversity, the progressive politics of the place, which it's not one-dimensional, but it's a good component of what goes on here. And so for me, moving from working in the streets, doing work without permission frequently, bending the rules, working as an outsider, but always looking for those opportunities to work with like-minded people within the power structure to improve things, and recognizing a real responsibility, a civic responsibility to make the structures work for as many of the people as possible. Well, I found a kindred spirit in Mayor Garcetti, and before he was mayor, we knew each other through our mutual support of Barack Obama. And you might see some hints of the style of the iconic Hope poster I created for Obama in in this portrait that I did of Mayor Garcetti, but I wanted to include in the portrait things that I thought were beautiful about the architecture and the city, but also philosophically important. The 6th Street Bridge, the mass transit, things that show a value for people to have a better living experience and an environmental responsibility. I also really wanted to capture how handsome Mayor Garcetti is. You know, he's got incredible features. It was a daunting thing to try to capture in 2 dimensions when he's just such a 3-dimensional person. But anyway, it was just an incredible honor to do this. And my design studio, and I have collaborated on several projects with the mayor's office around COVID awareness. And I just feel very fortunate that this is a city government that recognizes how art and creative culture are really influential to how people think in general and great for messaging. And this is the kind of symbiosis that I think is really, and collaboration that I think is extremely important for messaging and engaging the community. So I'm so happy to have been able to work with a mayor's office that thinks that way, and I'm sure you do too, Mayor Bass. So, you know, I think the inertia is there. But thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Shepard. We appreciate the insight and your commitment to arts and culture here in the city of LA. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Mayor Karen Bass, whose commitment to public service and to our great city has already been demonstrated through the great work that she has done and through her many previous roles. She served as a former elected member of the California State Assembly of the 47th District. She served as a Speaker of the California 67th State Assembly, serving as the first African-American woman in the United States history to lead a state legislative body. As the John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage winner award in 2010, as a leader during the Great Recession and the global pandemic, as an elected representative of California's 33rd and 37th congressional districts, as chair of the Congressional Black Caucus during the 116th Congress, and as a member of the United States House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Africa, Global Health, Global Human Rights and International Organizations, as well as the United States House Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security. We appreciate all of the leadership that you bring with you, and we look forward to seeing you support our great work here in the city of Los Angeles. Mayor Bass.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everyone, and good morning. This is a very nice morning to celebrate a mayor, Mayor Eric Garcetti, who I knew years, Eric and Amy knew years before you would have ever imagined yourself as being mayor of the city. But you have left an indelible mark on our city, and I will tell you, and I've told you this many times, that in Congress, in DC, we always brag about what has been happening in our city. From your leadership on the environment, to be home where nobody's debating climate change, to be in a city that is not just known nationally, but known internationally for the work on the environment, the plans that you have laid out that I intend to follow and make sure that we are able to meet our goals around climate, to to the work that you did on transportation and all the ribbons that I will be able to cut on projects that you started, whether we are talking about transportation or whether we are talking about housing. All of the years it took to build all that housing is now going to come online, and I'll make sure you're there when we cut the ribbons, okay? But also when I think about your leadership on COVID, because back when I was in DC and we were still fighting with the madness of the past administration as to whether or not COVID was something serious, LA was already off and running. And even though it brought about great pains when you had to shut things down and people had to work remotely, it was a question of saving lives, and you led that effort. And especially the effort that you led the effort that you led with the card, Angelino card, is that what it was called? That really kept a number, thousands of poor families afloat. And that was something, frankly, that nobody was including in any of the COVID support. So there's a lot that you have to be proud of during your years, but I also just want to thank you personally, because the transition between our administrations, the help that you've offered, and Amy, very much so in terms of helping me get settled and adjusted, has been seamless. And I'm very, very appreciative, and so is the City of Los Angeles, for all of your years of leadership. Thank you very much, and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Mayor Garcetti to come up and say a few words.
Good morning. Hey, everybody. All right. So it's a clearly stacked crowd, but good morning, everybody. I woke up this morning thinking, Mayor Bass, that this was the first time in 6 weeks, the longest stretch of my life in 21 and a half years, where I hadn't worn a tie, where like, oh gosh, I got to put on a tie again. And then I said, actually, with great fashion advice from my wife, always, no, I don't have to. So here I am in jeans, kind of dressed up a little bit, the new post-mayor look, in a place that's so, so special and made so special by everyone that's here in this moment. So let me kind of go backwards. First of all, Mayor Bass, I have felt, when people ask what does it feel like, so when the election was called for Karen Bass, and every moment since, I didn't just feel the weight of the city off my shoulders, I felt like I was given my wings. And those wings are there. I hope one day you have the same sensation of somebody you know and love and trust and have looked up to and who's inspired you, finally was willing to be harassed by enough people to throw her hat into the ring. And I'm so glad to hear not only the joy in your voice of being mayor, because that's so important to find every single day, but also knowing that there are very few people who have walked this journey, and to have a sister in this journey now, and know that you can always count on me as your brother to be able to be in those moments where there's the highest of highs and the toughest challenges one will ever face. To be mayor, and we're in this room with the greatest mayor, the name of Tom Bradley, my favorite room in Los Angeles, in this spot that was above the original Indian settlement of Yunga, which meant place of poison oak. Interestingly enough, the village that was right underneath here, that then became a dusty Spanish pueblo and was refounded twice after rains flooded this area, and then became a Mexican city and a great American city, the third most powerful metropolis in the world now. That here in this space where Tom Bradley's name adorns it, we know that to be mayor is kind of to live a lifetime every single week. I know I always say that and people kind of get it, but it truly is. When I look back at 9.5 years, there wasn't a single week in which a lifetime of Angelino experiences aren't filtered through the office and the people. And that's why it's so meaningful for me to be here with all those people who, if this is, it's kind of ass backwards, right? And I can say whatever because, you know, I'm not mayor anymore, to honor, I still have the same expression from my wife's face, like, please don't say that. But to have a person honored is absolutely wrong. I think my staff knows I always said, try to name anything after me, not only while I'm mayor, but while I'm alive. I'm going to come and veto that and destroy it, and I'll come back from the dead. This sensation of people who sometimes name things after themselves while they're not only alive, but in office is wrong, because it is the effort of a village, it's the effort of a city that lifts up and saves a city during COVID. We might have brought the pieces together, and without any of the people in this room, I guarantee we would have failed. But it wasn't just us by ourselves that got those Angelino cards. It was a $10 donation from somebody who was poor who said, well, I have $10 I can give tonight, listening to the mayor reach out on behalf of all of us. And Mary or somebody else coming forward and figuring out a way to get that out to somebody, Deidre and others. I won't start doing names because I know it's dangerous, but those moments are defined by each and every one of you. And also by the friends that sustained us, so many of you that are in this room. And of course, family members like my mother and father who literally, well, one of them literally birthed me, the other had a big role in it, I understand. But the two of you who really made me who I am. And Dad, you inspired me, or maybe didn't aggressively enough convince me not to run for office, but to be an elected public official. And I used to go to my dad's office, catty corner from here, and look out the window, and I'd see City Hall, but I was a county boy. I knew nothing about city government or City Hall. But you really inspired me to be here. And Mom, your heart of service is what inspired me every single day. Your smile, your love to treat everybody with love from your heart has also made me who I am. So thank you both. Give them a round of applause to thank them. And I promise, because I know the mayor has a busy day, I could talk forever, but I want to say a couple last things here too. During the pandemic, there's a couple moments in this room that were really important. One was during the teachers' strike, in which I offered the safe space of City Hall, and we don't have any formal authority over the schools. It would be nice if we did, but we have informal authority. And so I opened up City Hall for many days. Is Matt here? Matt Szabo? So Matt was kind of point person, Greg Good, others, or maybe it was your twin brother, I don't know, maybe both of you, who came here, and we had both sides, the teachers and the superintendent here. And there was one night which there was like one of those red moons. Everything seems to be a red harvest moon, eclipse, whatever these days. So growing up, I don't remember these, but it was one of those nights where something was here, and it was the penultimate night, and tempers were flaring, and people didn't know whether we would get kids back into school and teachers back to work and get a fair contract. We were getting there, and I told everybody, let's just take a break. And in two different groups, the district side and the teacher side, we came up here, and we were just on the balcony looking out at this red moon rise off in the distance, and looked at this city spread out like a bed of jewels. And it was one of those moments where I think we all felt like the city is much bigger than any of us. And this place and this moment and this office can sometimes inspire people to look at each other and find each other. And then after an all-nighter the next night, we resolved that contract and got people back to school. And then another time after the pandemic started, this place emptied out. You thankfully won't have the experience of coming to City Hall when there's literally maybe 2 handfuls of people working at City Hall. It was abandoned. People were at home. We were the critical workers who had to come here and had to work. And so I remember putting on my sweatpants, and I don't know if it was Bert working that day or Nick or somebody from the security detail. They're like, do you want us to follow you while I did the stairs? I was like, I think I got this. I mean, there's nobody here, literally. If somebody's going to kill me, they're smart enough they deserve to because they got in here on a... But... And I think I got followed for a little bit, but one of the days I was able to go on my own, just listen to some music and climb the stairs of this City Hall. And I remember coming up here at the end of doing a couple sets of those and just looking out at the city at a moment that it froze. And I saw that city that I love, and I saw its heart, and I saw its soul hurting, but I also saw its potential to come back together and to love. Above me, I always quote the Aristotle quote that says, "The city came into being to preserve life, but it exists for the good life." And I always say I love that quote because, yes, the cities come and build their walls so that people are safe, right? That's how cities first came about, to take the chaos of whatever that was out there and to protect each other. But that's not the end goal, to be safe. After we fight hard, and I know Mayor Bass, who's doing an extraordinary job in the first 2 months establishing a safer city, but once we get a safer city, it's really the second half that's important in life, to find and to define what is the good life. And what is that all about? The reason why it was so meaningful for Shepard Fairey to be the artist who did this was not only the personal connection that we have, and not only the great respect I have. To me, Shepard, you are the metaphor of this city, too, because you're still that graffiti artist and that rule breaker who doesn't ask permission, but you also know how to come indoors. Today we have either or. We've got amazing activism that shouts and screams and says, we need to change things, but doesn't dare cross over with a plan to say, now that I have your attention, let's make change. And then you have people who are supposed to be tasked with making change who too often can't hear the cries out there for more justice and for a fair and better and healthier city. so you as a person and your art has always been that border crosser. And I also thought that a lot of the pictures downstairs, I hope I'm not going to offend anybody, are some of the recent ones are great, but there's a lot of boring ones there. They're flat and they're two-dimensional, and they say nothing about the time. And I hope that what we'll see, and I haven't seen this yet, by the way, will tell, as Shepard said, some of the things that happened during this time. The bridges we built, both physically and metaphorically, the connections that we made, both in a tunnel between neighborhoods and also more spiritually between communities, that is what our time here is all about. It is true, too, that nothing demands more from its citizens than democracy. It is the toughest system that is out there, and we hurt sometimes living in a democracy, but God knows it is worth it, and things that are worth fighting for are what this building should be about and what this office of mayor should be about every single day. So thank you, too, to my friends from the press. Great to see you guys. Hope you're all doing well. Good luck with stories. I hope you write some great stories about Karen Bass, because I think she's doing personally a great job. So that's the headline for today. But we know sometimes positive headlines don't sell. Sometimes we don't have the judgment of history to look back. But this is the closing of one chapter and the start of a great new one as well. And finally and lastly, I just want to thank my people, my family. Not just my biological family, but Amy, who runs the family that we have by choice and by love, the family at City Hall, who has been such an amazing group of individuals to serve with now and one day again in the future. And for all of you, I hope that this moment, when you come up here, you see a piece of yourself in this. This isn't a portrait about a mayor. It's a portrait about a moment, a time, the struggles, and the stories. And keep telling those stories, and they will live on forever. Thanks so much, everybody.